This early morning, let's unlock the secrets of the eternal present. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you through the Patreon website. This early morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Good news. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them to your life, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. One moment. This morning's lesson is based on the 46th verse of the spaciousness of Vajrasattva, also known in Tibet as Dorje Sampan Namka Che, composed by Prahe Vajra, also known in Tibet as Gaurab Dorje. Notions, like past, present, and future, cannot comprehend the nature of the unborn, unceasing. In truth, nothing arises and nothing ceases. The wisdom of Source unifies all and dispels any such notions. Let's see if we can't unmuddy these waters. So, Sturgeon's law states that 90% of anything, including meditation teachers, is rubbish. So a lot of really bad meditation teachers will tell you to forsake the future, forsake the past, and live only in the now. My friends, that's nothing more than another variation of active concentration. When we actively choose what to observe and what not to observe, we're no longer on the path of mindfulness. We're no longer on the path of perceiving things vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Ironically, an ancient Hebrew text reads, and I translate, "There is nothing new under the sun," including this folly. And so many centuries ago, this is written to show the folly of trying not to remember and trying not to conject. If in the present moment we remember something from the past, we're still in the present moment. If in the present moment we imagine what something might be like, we are still in the present moment. So, through the cunning use of an I'm going to mispronounce this, of an anthropomorphization, we're saying that the idea, the notion, the fictional idea that of the very existence of past, present, and future occurs. Just as an ocean occurs, just as an island occurs within an ocean, this notion occurs within the ocean of complete confusion. Confusion that does not understand emptiness. And confusion that does not understand Buddha nature. So There is no future that we can grasp onto. If a scary future or a tantalizing future occurs to us as we breathe in, the moment we start relaxing into our very next exhalation, that previous perception or confabulation or imagination becomes as non-graspable as if it was nothing. The moment we think about a previous event, whether it was pleasurable or whether it was painful, whether it was glorious or whether it was grotesque, the very next exhalation that we relax into renders that memory as non-graspable, as if it had never existed. That doesn't mean it's erased from our memory banks. It means it no longer feels tangible. The wisdom of Source unifies all and dispels any such notions. What is this wisdom of Source? It only makes sense within the context of meditation. So I'm going to take a moment to refresh your memory as to how meditation works. And if this is the 14th time you've heard this, I apologize. I do not mean to insult your august intellect. August intellect? Big brain. So here we go. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many terms, such as Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasanti, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekcho. Despite the fanciness of this terminology, the methodology is really easy. The key to mindfulness is not active concentration, but its opposite, which is to merely perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. The key to allowing this to happen is this. Every time we breathe in, natural selection has wired us to automatically and effortlessly access our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. The easiest way to get out of our own way and to allow this to happen is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. As such, we can notice a whole slew of things. We can notice perceptions, such as sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We could also notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. With all this stuff, what do we do with this stuff? How do we manage it, no less spiritually benefit from it? And the answer is meditation. But how does that work? Simple. Every time we physically relax into our exhalation, we involuntarily and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to mentally release and physically relax. When we do that, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation can now feel as non-graspable, this is a simile, as if it was a vast, empty void. So we're using void not as a verb, but a noun that functions as a metaphor. And so let's wrap this up. As we breathe in and we breathe out, while reciting this and void, all the while noticing and relaxing. And mindfulness and meditation do their work, transforming us into the person that our dog already thinks we are. So, how do we access the wisdom of Source? By relaxing into each exhalation. Notions occur to us as we breathe in, and that's fine. They're supposed to. They occur to us as we breathe in. We release them as we exhale. And that is how we find ourselves effortlessly in the now, not as a pseudo-spiritual means of dodging the grotesqueries of memory and of resentment and fear, but as a way to process what happened, not to make it go away, but to help us to transcend the exhausting habit of living in resistance. Before we start our formal practice, I think it could be quite lovely if together as a team we chanted the Sunday morning portion of the vast expanse of Vajrasattva. Tally-ho. Equal in its manifestations, there is nothing to gradually arrange. All forms being one in reality, nothing needs to be dedicated. We may accumulate and arrange for various offerings, but since they occur naturally, they need no arranging or distribution. The true condition being intrinsically perfect, there is no need to make offerings. Pure from its inception, the pristine continuum is already wisdom nectar. There is no need for our minds or our senses to visualize or intend. All phenomena are already arrayed and consecrated by the mind's judgments. The spiritual power of clear seeing is the equipoise of contemplative stillness. Think of clear seeing as being vulnerable. Even an instant of this contemplation is divine union. The satisfaction of this union fulfills our spiritual commitments. Going through the dance of various spiritual practices, one is in reality offering the state of union non-dually. Here's what I've found. Non-superstitiously, but simply psychologically, I found it useful to have a thing we do right at the beginning of every meditation and a thing we do right at the end of every meditation. Kind of like having a starter's pistol and, what do they call the ribbon a finish line? So that's what we're going to do. And our starter's pistol is just a 4-line chant that, as a fringe benefit, strengthens the neural pathways that are already responsible for empathy and enthusiasm. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hate, engraving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. So the question is not whether we are human and we can perceive the experience of hate, craving, and clinging, but whether those things are the boss of us. And we don't want that to happen. We don't have to superstitiously believe that a dead Indian's gonna save our souls. So whether the Buddha was real or whether the Buddha was merely mythical, his or her real or imagined example and instructions and students could still benefit us. A student is anybody who follows the Buddha's example and applies the Buddha's instructions with a modicum of success. Let's continue. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hate, engraving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hate, engraving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Sturgeon's Law states that 90% of everything is crap. So if you are coming across someone who claims to be this great Lama, or this great senior student of the Buddha, but they are still rigid, fearful, controlling, competitive, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, we shouldn't rely on them as a teacher. However, if you find someone who is flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, you have much to benefit from hanging out with someone just like that. Having already explored the meditation instructions, let's meditate. And remember, if at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. There is no need to wait. Strike while the iron is hot. I think it could be fun if we played with an additional text. So quick like a bunny, I'm going to tap button 9. I'm going to open up an additional text. Let's see, let's go to core, and let's go to secular. Let's hit rename. Paste. Delete. There we go. Now let's make sure it actually appears on the screen. Let's go to sadhana. Let's go to secular. Okay. So what follows is my adaptation and amplification of the Anapanasati Sutta. Those who are rigid will not like it. Those who are flexible will. We begin, so we have 16 exercises, which we divide into 4 sets of 4. Let's begin with Kaya Sati's only set of 4 preliminary meditations to center our bodies. So we're going to play with a rhetorical question, actually 2. The first one is, how long? And this is a reference to the duration of our breath. We don't have to control the duration of our breath. We don't have to analytically study the duration of our breath with all types of interesting devices. If all we do is silently and mentally recite how long, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation, our mindfulness will strengthen. We're going to play with another mindfulness exercise. We're going to approach the same body tissues, our respiratory system, but from a different point of view. How is what we silently and mentally ask during our inhalation. Short is what we silently and mentally ask during our exhalation. This is a rhetorical question. It's not our job to answer it or try to answer it. If all we do is silently and mentally recite these words in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation, we will make progress on the path. Now we expand our sphere of mindfulness beyond the constraints of our respiratory system to include the entirety of our physical body. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the verb feel. As we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the noun form, which functions as a synonym of our body. We now come to the fourth exercise of this set, where we, during the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the noun form, and during the exhalation, we silently and mentally recite the verb ease, which functions as a synonym for relax. We come now to our second set of 4 exercises. We continue with Vedana Sati's set of 4 jhana meditations centering on our feelings. We begin with our first of 4 feeling-oriented centering practices where we savor the first jhana's blissful joy that flows from gently grinning with the corners of our mouth, the apples of our cheeks, and the crow's feet of our eyes towards our bodies of flesh, blood, and bone. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the verb grin. As we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the noun form. For our second jhana is peaceful joy that flows from gently grinning, once again, with the corners of our mouth, the apples of our cheeks, and the crow's feet of our eyes, towards our thoughts, and we're using the word thought as an umbrella term, towards our thoughts, emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. So as we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the verb grin, and as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the umbrella noun thoughts. We come to the third of four feeling-oriented centering practices, where we savor the third jhana's contentment. By mindfully noticing, investigating, and coalescing our thoughts, emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. How do we do that? It's simple. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the verb feel, and as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the noun thoughts. We come to the fourth of four feeling-oriented centering practices, where we savor the fourth jhana's neutrality. By allowing our thoughts, emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining to tranquilly relax. And we do this through the power of intention, and we guide intention through the power of words. As we breathe in, we silently mentally recite the umbrella term thoughts. And as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the verb ease, which functions as a synonym for relax. course, in America, we have a weird phenomenon where cops will draw their pistol, aim at your head, and scream at you to relax, which seems like a tall order. Personally, I don't find that relaxing. Let me know let me know what your opinion is on that subject in the commentary below the video. Oh, the chat window below the video. Yes, there we go. Personally, I think if the cops wanted the assailant to relax, a much more efficient manner would be to have Tommy Chong show up on the scene with a bong, take a big hit, offer it to the suspect, then they can sit around and groove to Pink Floyd. That would be much more effective. But that's just me. We continue with Chitta Sati's second set of 4 jhana meditations, this time centering our mind. We begin with the first of 4 mind-oriented centering practices where we savor the 5th jhana's sphere of infinite spaciousness by mindfully noticing, investigating, and coalescing our mind's ability to see, hear, feel, taste, smell, and the like. Clearly, we're using mind as another umbrella term. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the verb feel. As we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the noun mind. So this is a step through, this is very much like stepping through a threshold, because it introduces our body to a whole new set of sensations. I'm reminded of the words of Sir Alec Guinness as I paraphrase. You're taking your first steps into a much larger world. We come to the second of 4 mind-oriented centering practices where we savor the 6th jhana's sphere of infinite awareness. We go from openness to awareness. In other words, our awareness is populating the spaciousness, which we generate by allowing our mind to gladden as toward it we gently smile. Once again, from the corners of our mouth, the apples of our cheeks, and the crow's feet of our eyes. So as we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the verb grin. And as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the umbrella term mind, which refers to our abilities to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We come to the third of 4 mind-oriented centering practices where we savor the 7th jhana's sphere of non-graspability as we allow our minds seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like to tranquilly relax in the most sustainable way. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the umbrella term mind. And as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the verb ease. We come to the fourth of four mind-oriented centering practices, where we savor the eighth jhana sphere of acquiescent non-labeling by experiencing the liberating equanimity or balance of our controlling tendencies to shove and reach. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the umbrella term mind, and as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the verb free. Like Leonardo da Vinci, releasing a dove into the sky, proclaiming, "Fly, be free." Now we switch gears from mindfulness meditation to Anika or let's just say we end with Dhammasati or Anika Vipassana's set of 4 impermanence contemplations to help us circumstantially release or let go. And so now we return to the enchanted realm of rhetorical questions. As we breathe in, we ask what? As we exhale, we ask change. Now remember, if all we do is silently and mentally recite this question, recite what during the inhalation, and we coordinate the recitation of this question. With our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation, we will master the path. The second of 4 contemplations, what fade? Yesterday I watched a video on YouTube on one of my favorite channels, Living Big in a Tiny Home. And we saw photographs of a tiny home after it was made. And then after a year of Welsh rainfall, we see how the colors had faded. And so fading is a natural thing. It's been said by some that the pinnacle of our physical ripening is in our late teens and early 20s, and after that it's all downhill. And you can look at photographs of just exquisite movie stars and models from their 20s, and then you look at them in their 60s, and it looks like an apple that's been left out in the sun a bit too long. I know, to borrow a phrase from Stephen Taylor, as I look in the mirror, all these lines, my face getting clearer. Of course, he was talking about illicit substances, but I'm sure you get the idea. So, what fade? And remember, we do this not to depress ourselves, not to frighten ourselves, just to get more and more comfortable with the inevitability of letting go. We come to the third of 4 contemplations, where we consider very subtle impermanence with the words, what? Cease. Like a stick of incense that has burnt and smoked and self-extinguished. We come to the final contemplation of this early morning session, where we consider relinquishing or surrendering or yielding in the face of this mountain of impermanence. How yield is our rhetorical question. Don't worry, it's safe to practice this. This will not turn you into a doormat, because the more we practice this, the more we develop love's centered spontaneity. When our choices and our utterances and deeds flow with love's centered spontaneity, it works out very well for us. Let us seal our meditation and contemplation practice by chanting the four immeasurables. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could type something in the chat window. You could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could share it with a friend. You could even help support this channel on Patreon, either by using your smartphone to capture the QR code on the screen, or by simply scrolling down and clicking the appropriate link in the description area below the video. In approximately 2 and a third hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's mid-morning lesson and meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.